Today, Bitcoin tumbles as low as $92,000 as investors reevaluate risk assets. And Kristin Smith of the Blockchain Association lays out which proposed crypto rules will be a priority for Washington in 2025. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Brandon Gomez. The crypto market's getting hit with a broad sell-off overnight, which pushed Bitcoin as low as $92,000. By noon Eastern, the cryptocurrency had recovered, trading above $96,000, but still down 3.9% in 24 hours. Meanwhile, Ether taking a 6.5% hit this morning, and XRP falling more than 5%. The pullback in crypto follows caution from investors on risk assets broadly. Crypto did bounce back late morning after we got better than expected inflation data, but it wasn't enough to recover those overnight losses. If we look out at the week, Bitcoin retreated nearly 5%, while Ether slumped more than 13%. All right, let's jump right to our final conversation from the Blockchain Association's Policy Summit in DC this week. Crypto World's Tanea McKeel spoke with Kristin Smith, the CEO of the organization, to learn which Trump administration picks could be most influential for crypto and which proposed regulations will be a top priority for lawmakers in 2025.
Kristin Smith, thank you so much for joining us on Crypto World today. Congrats on this event, another good one. Any key takeaways from today so far?
I think the industry is really excited about the fresh start that we have before us. We've had a lot of guests today that are going to be taking the chairmanship roles of relevant committees in Congress, and we've had a lot of folks that are going to maybe be in acting capacities at the regulatory agencies soon. And so I think we're really excited to turn the corner and move forward with finding the right policy framework for crypto here in the United States.
I can't remember the last time that you and I caught up, but we just had this big election, which has completely, kind of made the crypto market do this 180. And from your view and your work, what has this transition from November to now and through early 2025?
We've been very eager to see who gets appointed to key spots. We're excited about Atkins going to the SEC, Bessent going to Treasury. We're eager to see who gets announced for the CFTC. And so, we've been spending a lot of time trying to figure out what their priorities might be. But we're also excited about the new Congress. I think that there's going to be real opportunity in the House and in the Senate this time to see legislation move. And on top of that, we have a very pro-crypto president. Donald Trump sent a little video for our dinner last night that wished us well wishes, and it's just really refreshing to have somebody from the top say that they support you and that they're behind you and that they want you to be successful. So just that attitude makes a huge difference.
You mentioned the CFTC. Any other appointments you're waiting to see?
I think we would be very interested to see some of the undersecretaries at the Department of Treasury, particularly the one dealing with terrorism and financial intelligence. And so, we're going to be watching those closely. But I think the folks we've seen in place today are very encouraging, and I think they're going to be people we can work with come January.
Now, you talked about looking at different people's priorities heading into next year. What are some of the things you would like to see prioritized for crypto?
So it's interesting. In the past, we really haven't had rulemaking as an option for creating policy. And so I think we're still interested in seeing Congress move something on market structure, though probably something more narrowly tailored. But we're also really interested to see the SEC and the CFTC use the existing authority they have to answer some of the questions around the clarity of which laws apply when. And so I think just having a little bit more certainty combined with some additional authority granted by Congress, that we could have a really thorough policy in place that allows the innovation to happen here. We're already starting to see companies move back, be interested in being here in the US, and so I think it's really encouraging. And so what we need to do is in the next 2 years get it across the finish line so people know the rules of the road going forward.
Okay, what's that going to take? If we could just zoom out a little bit for any viewers who are not so familiar with the legislative process, what now?
It's interesting because the process I think is going to be very different than it's been in the past. I think we're going to see legislation authored by different folks in both the House and the Senate. I think we're going to see hearings at the committee level and hopefully votes, and then ultimately, getting something to the president's desk. I think that would be very exciting. But I do think, before that, we'll also see the agencies look to issue rulemakings and to put out a comment period to propose ideas of things that they can do within the authority they have today. They won't be able to do everything, but they can do a lot. And so we don't actually have to wait for Congress to get a bill done to start the process going with the agencies. I think we can dual track it so that it should speed up the time frame it takes to get the regulatory framework.
What's a optimistic prediction in terms of timeline, like first half next year?
Yeah, I think that we can get something really solid going this year. I don't think it has to get all the way through the process for investors to have more confidence. I mean, I think, we want to make sure consumers are protected. We want to show institutions that, this is a mature and safe and regulated industry. And I think the more and more progress we make on the policy front, I think the more interest we're going to see, from additional retail investors, but also new investors. But I think more importantly, we're going to have the right signal to the builders and the innovators and the founders who want to create something on top of blockchains, because they'll have more certainty about what they can and can't do with those networks. And so I think that's going to be the best opportunity, and I think it aligns really well with our incoming president's agenda to bring more jobs here in the US.
Watching the market post-election has been really interesting, just to see the divide between Bitcoin versus everything else. We talk about friendlier and more clear regulation, and I watch crypto take off. And then we talk about a strategic Bitcoin reserve on the national level, and you see Bitcoin take off, and that is still, a resounding theme that kind of like awakens the animal spirits. What would the value of something like that be to the U.S. Treasury?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that the United States needs to be looking at problems to figure out how are we going to pay for everything going forward. And so I think from the U.S. perspective, looking at having a Bitcoin strategic reserve of some sort could be very valuable in helping address some of that. I think this is a scarce asset. There's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin ever, and the U.S. is probably going to want to own some. I think from my perspective of the Blockchain Association, we're really focused on more of the crypto side of things. It's the piece of it that we don't know what the rules of the road are, where people can comply. Bitcoin's a little bit different because everyone agrees it is a commodity. It doesn't have those same securities laws issues that other parts of the industry have had to deal with. And so, their markets are often, intertwined and related, but the sets of issues for Bitcoin are often different from the rest of the crypto industry.
So we have talked about what you'd like to see prioritized and how the legislative process might be different in the year ahead. I'm moving into sort of the prediction section here. So what do you think that we will see happen in 2025? Top three trends that you're watching.
I think we're going to see Congress make progress on a bill. I think we're going to see the president and the prudential banking regulators really take a stand on the debanking issue. I think that one is really big. And it's my hope that we're also going to see the Treasury Department or Congress really put a solid marker out there on self-custody. That's a really important principle to be able to hold your own assets in crypto. And in the past, there's been some challenges to that. And so I think we would affirmatively like to see something done. And that's one of those issues that both the Bitcoin and the other crypto community care about.
Progress on a bill. I think this time last year we were talking market structure and stable coins. I think those are still the two.
Yeah, I think a more narrowly tailored market structure bill, and then stablecoin. That is something that in the first Trump administration and then also in the Biden administration, the president's working group said there isn't the right federal framework in place. And so we need to see some legislation that allows for a federal option for stablecoin regulation, but we also want to support the states that have already taken important steps and have allowed stablecoin issuers to be regulated that way. So we've always had a dual banking system. I think it makes sense for stablecoins as well.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World this week. We're back again on Monday. We'll see you then.